Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. I am Everardo Resendiz. I'm a certified executive and business coach with Action Coach in Northwest Louisiana. Today, I have Jonathan Frazier with Forefront 360. This is my guest. We're going to be talking about his business, the journey to business ownership, the best practices, and share a peek into what it really is like to own and to build, to own and operate a business. If this is your first time on the channel, please be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications for when we drop new conversations just like this one. And so, Jonathan, welcome and thank you for
Th-
being here today.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Would you share with us a brief overview of your background and, tell us a little bit about Forefront 360?
Yeah, so I actually come from aviation safety and operations in the past, and then my business partners now pulled me into kind of the property insurance industry. So that's been about 4 to 5 years on the property insurance side of things. My partners have been in like 50 plus years. So that's kind of how I got to where I'm at today. I wasn't really expecting it, but with COVID, that kind of wiped out the aviation industry and laying off lots of people. So about that time, we discovered this need, or we've been talking about this need to start the company we have now, and so we did.
And so, what does Forefront 360 do?
Yeah, so we provide a proactive tool that kind of helps to empower property owners with the property insurance process and the recovery process. So what it does, this digital profile solution helps make sure and helps property owners shop for and make sure they have proper coverage, but it also helps make the claim process more efficient, more effective, and the settlement more accurate. And it also helps them on the repair side of things. So it gives the property owner the data they need to control the outcome of all that.
All right. So, why don't you walk me through what it is that you guys do? Because maybe that's what we need to make sure that people understand.
Yeah, yeah.
There's,
So
there-
we
there's a lot of different ways that people go about these, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the issues with the insurance sector is people don't have a lot of information on the property itself, verified details of that property. That's from dimensions, imaging, ages of things, material types, like all this type of stuff. So what we're doing is we're coming out on site using multiple different technologies, and we're collecting all this data from dimensions on the exterior, interior, floor plans, ages of things, roof data, siding data, everything that is relevant to property insurance that is going to help you make sure you have the proper coverage and then help make sure when you have that claim is handled quickly and efficiently. So by doing this, the claim is pretty much done before you have a claim. All they need to know is what is damaged in the end. So yeah, it's really just collecting all that property data, putting it all together in a nice user-friendly way for that property owner to utilize.
So the pain normally is that you have a tree fall through your house, right?
Yep,
And you're gonna call somebody to come and remove that tree. They're gonna go and call the insurance company. There's gonna be adjusters, and there's gonna be a discussion about what really did happen and what was damaged throughout that whole process. Um,
how
I
old
don't
was the
know how
roof?
it is
How old
down.
was, yeah,
Yeah,
all
I
this
don't know
stuff.
how I don't know how it works these days in your part of the state, but here it can be a very tedious and long process to get all of
Yeah,
that in place. And so you're right. What homeowners have to contend with almost every single opportunity is, they have to figure out what it is that they had to begin with,
yep,
and
yep,
what was the makeup of all the things that got damaged. And so
yeah,
I can see the value on this. So this is something that the property owner acquires, whether it is a commercial property or a residential property.
yeah, correct. Yeah.
Very good. So when should they normally buy it or acquire these things?
Before something happens.
Yeah.
So that's the key is before something happens. But really, yeah, really any time before, a great time is if you're building. or you're like
Yeah.
just finished your new home, or you just finished renovation, so everything is kind of done and set, or you just move into a home, like things like that. But ideally, just as long as it's before something happens, because once everything is damaged, it's pretty much impossible to get all this information accurately.
Yeah. That's right. Okay. So set the stage for the viewers and the listener. What is the current ownership like? You mentioned the partner. Is he the only one? Do you have any other partners in these?
I've got
Um,
two partners.
okay.
So two business partners. So they're the ones that have been in the insurance industry together over 50 years. One was actually the youngest ever certified flood adjuster back in the 90s at 16 years old, and then they changed the law after that, so you have to be 18. But they've been in the industry their entire lives pretty much, and they're the ones that pulled me into it to help kind of get the set up the business and get the business rolling and help move it forward on that.
All right. And so what is the role that you have, Jonathan, in this business?
I'm the
And do
CEO.
your partners actively participate in it?
Yes, yeah, I'm the CEO, so I'm just kind of making sure everything runs and we keep moving forward.
All right. And so when you look at your role, right? Um, we always have the question here about, how much of your time is utilized in, you know, day-to-day things, troubleshooting problems, maybe even smoothing some edges with some people, those relationships. Um, and how much of your time is on the business type things like strategy and planning, et cetera, et cetera.
Luckily, there hasn't been many issues that I have to deal with. Most of it is on the strategy and business side, so that's good. I would say that's 90+% of it. And although it's feels like 200 or 300%, but it's it's I prefer that side of the things. That's what I enjoy.
Okay. So the strategy and planning is really what takes your attention most of the time.
Yeah.
All right. And so let's look at what makes your business so special, right? Um I'm not sure, is there any comparable service for what you offer? Are there people out there trying to do the same thing as you are?
There's people doing similar stuff or doing certain aspects of what we're doing, but 90+% of the industry is focused on the backside, on the reactive side. So when something happens.
Okay. So 90% is on the backside, and you're doing the front side,
Yeah.
hence the
But
name
we can
forefront.
do both. So it's kind of we try to provide this kind of full holistic approach of upfront collecting all this information, putting together for the property owner. Then when something happens, we can walk them through the claim process, help them on that back end to make sure it is being handled correctly.
So it's not just producing the information on models or the
No,
data
no,
on the property, it's
no,
also
it's
helping them walk through those claims.
yeah, we can also do that if they would like us to just kind of manage the claim, just make sure things are going well. We can also help with that. I mean, we're also trying to educate them on on insurance. In the meantime, we're just sharing with them how to use this information for all this different. So we're really trying to. It's more of a relationship than just kind of a one-off, and it kind of creates this full circle. Just and the goal again is to empower the property owners so they have the information and then that they know how to use this information and what to do when stuff happens. Because people are
Gotcha.
overwhelmed when I don't know if you've ever gone through a major claim, but when your home is destroyed, your life is flipped upside down, and then that's not the time to try to figure out how the insurance process works or the claim works or how to find information and like all this type of stuff. I've been in people's homes, especially down south, and around like cutoff area, Homa, all down through there, and people just crying to me and telling me they didn't know what to do. They're like just devastated. They're just stuck.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so let me ask you these. Just because I'm not very familiar with this, but I know that there are people who provide these devices that they go into a house and do like a 360 scan of
Hmm.
every room where they can then turn into a model. And they are, like you said, more than likely in the after the fact
Hmm.
type situations, like restoration companies may have something like that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yep.
Um, but what I'm hearing from you is that this is a little bit beyond that, and it's
It's yeah,
prior to that whole
yeah, yeah,
thing happening.
yeah.
And so I don't consider those competitors of yours, though they may overlap with you in certain areas, right?
Hmm.
Who will be competing with you then? If you're not competing with the ones that are coming after the fact, is there anybody in your realm?
Well, there are people that are, maybe coming in before providing a service where, you can go in and, for example, like you said, like you can go in, you can use your phone. I mean, go in and video your home and stuff like that. So that's a form, it's a very simplified version of one fraction of what we provide. So there are companies doing things like that. Or they'll come in and take imaging and document. You can get companies to come in and document all your personal property, things like that. But it's not, we're not doing that. But we're coming in and we are documenting all that stuff. But again, it's just a fraction of what we are doing. It's more about the whole picture of your property, all the, and we spent probably 2 years refining exactly what we are collecting and compiling to make sure it is specific and the most useful tool for that property owner. And we don't want it to just sit on a shelf for insurance either. We want it to be used for if you're getting repairs or renovations or dealing with a contract, like stuff like that. So that's
Oh,
been our
wow, there's a lot more to
biggest
these.
goal. Yeah, yeah. Well, so the reason is because on the back end, you've got to get repairs. So when everything is damaged, you have your claim. Here's your settlement check. Okay, now you've got to work with contractors. If you're talking with a contractor and they're like, hey, you need, for example, 12 squares on your roof, most property owners are like, what's a square? So they don't know the details of their properties. So there's kind of no transparency or accountability in that process. So when you have this information and they say you need this, 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 and this, you're like, oh, yes, I do. Or you're like, no, I don't. I need this much. You
Wow.
help, keep from, and I'm not saying all contractors are bad, but it helps to keep that accountability there and make sure there's some transparency and you know what's going on, because otherwise you're just entrusting everyone else to have your best interest at heart on your most valuable asset.
Wow. When you put it like that, it's like it's almost a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah, because most people get their insurance, you kind of get it and forget it. It's, until
That's
something
right. That's
happens.
I just bought a house, and I'm like, probably need to do something like
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah, and again, at the
Mhm.
very least, go around and video everything. Everybody should
That's
do
right.
that, especially if there's storms coming or evacuation orders like for down here, things like that. There's always things you can do as a property owner, and people have to remember it's a two-party contract. You have to do your due diligence as a property owner as well. You don't just get your insurance and sit back and insurance company does everything perfect for you. It's not the way it works. We have to take action as well.
That is very interesting. And so, um, given that what you provide is probably very unique already on its own, right? Um, what is one thing you wish more people knew about Forefront 360?
Really, I wish more people, knew we existed because people don't know there are services you can utilize before something happens. Again, everybody kind of is kind of stuck in the status quo, the way it's been for years and years and years. It's like getting insurance is what you do. That's it. You just get insurance, and you know you're in their hands and they're going to take care of you. And it's kind of that people just don't realize that there are things you can do and there are things you need to do.
Wow.
That's
Well, that certainly leads me to the marketing question then, because it's a vital part of everything we do in business, right? But it's often an area that we struggle with as business people, right? So I'm always curious about what successful businesses are doing. Is there like a marketing budget? How do we make sure that more people know that we exist
hmm
and that we provide services that go beyond something that you know the majority of people will not have to face, right?
Yeah.
but those who do will value it incredibly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you get your message out there about these?
So our goal for 26 is to do a lot more marketing. Currently, we've been just utilizing the network we already have, the contacts we already have, and then referrals coming from those contacts. Because, for example, we do a lot. We focus on a lot of schools and churches because they
Uh,
get a lot more benefit out of it, and it's a good network because schools and churches know each other. Like we just, for example, in New Orleans, we finished up the First Baptist New Orleans Church, which is a really cool, big. I think it won some architectural awards. We did it down here, and they're connecting us with others. And the reason, well, kind of maybe step back a bit, but the reason the schools and churches like it so much because we're using we're compiling all this data for them for the insurance side, but they're also getting information that helps them on maintenance and operations, where everything is located, all emergency equipment, all this stuff for their entire facilities or an entire district. And we're creating these emergency response profiles that are shared with 911. So now 911 has all the information on that facility. So all the floor plans, all the entry points, exit points, virtual tours, all this stuff so they can either train and respond to that facility. So by working with clients like that, it tends to bring us more clients like that.
I
And that's
love it.
been,
I
yeah.
love it. So it's really, providing that value, and then from that value, born new opportunities, birthing new opportunities.
Yeah, and we've been lucky
And
because all these clients, every time we finally deliver the product, they're all wowed. So we tell them what you're getting, but it's like you don't quite grasp it until you actually see it on your property and see all this information. You don't realize what you don't know until you see it all laid out in front of you and like, oh, wow.
you're already getting my head to think of many, many
Yeah.
things. But all right, let me approach something a little bit different, right? We spent a bunch of time on the business and some of the things that you have been going through, but I love to take this conversation into that deep dive into your journey, right?
Hmm.
So you were forced into this decision to do something. Well, not forced, but the
Yeah.
opportunity
Yeah.
sort of presented itself. And so you choose to go on your own. How would you characterize what's that contrast for you? Working for somebody and having your life living depending on them to actually having to go and do it on your own.
Yeah, I mean it's a whole other world. I mean there's no longer leaving at 5 o'clock and being done. It's or, your brain is constantly spinning, trying to figure out what to do. Solve problems or things like that. It's 7 days a week, 24/7. Um, but with that said, it's also more enjoyable because it's yours. The effort you put in is the effort is the rewards you get out of it in the end. And I think that's the biggest thing. And I've always been kind of an entrepreneur at heart, so I never quite felt like I fit in the corporate world that I was in for so long. So it's just I don't know. I think it's a lot more work, but I think it's a lot more enjoyable and rewarding.
And I guess it's because it is yours, right?
Yeah,
It is your work. You're in control of what comes or doesn't come. And
yeah.
that's a double-edged word. That truly is a double-edged sword.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
I mean,
Um,
it's like a child. It's like if you have your own child, or if somebody gives you their child to babysit for a while, you're like you have no problem giving back the one you babysat, but you don't want to give away, your child. It's like you want to make sure it grows, it develops, and it's like it's yeah, it's yours.
so as you look at your journey so far, um, what has been the most memorable roadblock or hurdle that you were challenged with that you were forced to overcome?
I think it's related to, we talked about earlier, people not knowing that there's a service like this in the beginning. it's figuring out a way to communicate our service and let people know that there is this solution out there that they can take. Because it's a little bit, I think sometimes it can sound like a lot to a people. So, getting to, refine that message and really get people to understand kind of what it is and why you need it. People still don't quite grasp why you need this information up front. Again, everybody really believes that the insurance companies are going to take care of it all. So like the educational side, I think it's a lot easier on the commercial, but when we're talking with like residential property owners, it's a whole other ball game. Like the education side is so challenging. I mean, people don't even
Somebody
want to
told
pay
me
for their
about
property
this.
insurance, let alone an additional service that that'll help them out. So it's
Somebody told me about this situation as it relates to insurance, right? You may have a great relationship with your insurance agent, right?
hmm
Um, but it's not your insurance agent who's going to pay you for your claim.
yeah,
It's the insurance company,
yep,
and the insurance company is going to take care of its own,
yep.
right? They're
It's
in
a
it,
business.
you know,
Yep,
to produce and to save as much as they can. And so we have to be proactive in
hmm
this world, in this time too, because um, the difference between you getting your work done and paid for, within a very reasonable amount of time, or waiting 2 years to get it done, is how much do you have? How well prepared are you?
yep,
Um, so I'm with you 100%. I think that needs to be a message that we almost need to evangelize, right? Like
yeah,
anything that you can do to improve your chances, because we do live in a state that faces a lot of natural
yeah, absolutely.
disasters, and so it is almost not if, it's almost when.
Yep, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yep.
And so finding out a way to communicate to clients the need for these, and that you actually provide these, it's really the challenge that you had to overcome. How did you overcome
I mean, I think we're still kind of overcoming it. It's just, I think as far as the educational side and getting residential, especially residential, to understand, it's just, I think by having more of those conversations with them and seeing, their perspective on things and understanding them, it helps you redefine and kind of shift your message on how to help them connect and understand. It is a little easier when it's kind of sad, but also it makes it a bit easier. The people that have gone through stuff, they
it?
are kind of the ones that understand. They're the ones that have struggled for months or years dealing with a claim. I mean, there's people still dealing with IDA claims. I mean, it's just insane. So that is a bit easier, but ultimately, I mean, I think we're still working on that side of things. It's just I think some people you got to tell them over and over and over and over and over again before it finally clicks. Or unfortunately, as it kind of goes, sometimes people have to go through, something has to happen before they actually like, okay, yeah, I should have done this, or I need to do this in the future.
Wow. Well, it is truly, human nature to compartmentalize those things that we don't want to think
Mhm.
about, that we don't
Oh
want to
yeah,
think about the
yeah.
possibility that
We
something
do
may
it
go
all the
wrong.
time with everything in our lives. Yeah,
All right, so let's fast forward a little bit and see. Let's talk about what comes next for you. So, you said that this started almost at the advent of COVID, right?
yeah,
The
yeah.
on the aftermath of COVID. So, where do you see this business going the next 3 to 5 years?
I think expanding across the Gulf, so like into Florida, possibly Texas. That's kind of the current goal. Um, we are doing a few other jobs kind of across the U.S., but most of the focus has been in the kind of greater New Orleans area or southern Louisiana kind of area. But yeah, no, we're looking to expand into Florida, Texas. We're having some conversations with Florida Office of Insurance Regulation, things like that. Because I will say, now, I didn't mention this earlier, but this doesn't only help property owners, it helps the insurance companies too. So it helps them ensure that there's accurate premiums, and it helps reduce the claim carrying costs, when there is a claim, and it just makes that insurance process more efficient, and it even reduces the need, depending on the severity of the claims, but the need for potentially multiple adjusters. You may not even need an adjuster to come out. You may be able to have a desk adjuster take care of everything because you're just sending pictures. You've already given them all your data. They just need to see what is damaged. So it's really reducing the overall costs and risks. It's a big one. The risk, fraud, like all this type of stuff. It's reducing all of that for the carriers as well. So it's ultimately it's just really making the insurance process work the way it's supposed to work. You have the accurate data, because how many companies, there were several companies that went, insolvent because everybody was undersure that they had, and then a major claim happened or major disaster happened, and they didn't have enough money in the bank to cover the claims, so then
That's
they
right.
went insolvent. So it's by and then or you have the scenario where so many people were underinsured, then there's a major disaster, and then to compensate for that, they skyrocket the premiums instead of just gradually raising premiums like it should be. They're going to go up regardless, but it's just,
Right.
to what extent are they going to go up? 2% or 10%? But when
Right.
everyone is accurately insured, it helps the property owner and it helps the insurance company. So again, the insurance process is working the way it's supposed to work. So that's something we're trying to have more conversations with insurance companies, things like that, and hopefully we can get it to where they will start incentivizing the property owners for utilizing this because they do see the advantage in the property owner having this. So
That
that's
will
one of the
make
big
sense.
goals. So you can have discounts on your premiums. I mean, this already helps you have those conversations and potentially negotiate those premiums. But if we can get them to incentivize you for doing this, that's the goal, to reduce the costs for the policyholder.
That's right. And it makes a lot easier for you to provide your services all over the US.
Yeah.
And so, what has been your approach to goal setting? I mean, how many goals do you set at a time, and how do you document it? How do you track all these?
I use OneNote. I have OneNote, and I have many different tabs and pages for all specific projects and all this stuff. Everything kind of laid out for brainstorming and things like that, and then just review stuff periodically. And of course, I can set what I would like to work on, and then what I actually get to work on. It's sometimes completely different, but I eventually make my way back to those those things. But yeah, that's kind of my personal process because I need to
Right.
see
Well,
everything laid out. I need to see it all. I'm a visual person. That's why we got a bunch of
there you go.
monitors and all this stuff so I can see things laid out in front of me.
So, for you to be able to provide your services in all the Gulf areas, what needs to happen?
Well, we would need to start, actually marketing in there because, we don't really advertise there in these locations or market there or, talk to many people there. So that would be the next step.
At least start moving in that direction. I get you.
Yeah, yeah.
Very good. Very, very good. I mean, it seems like because you're coming up with something that is extremely useful that both parties may actually get a benefit from doing,
Mm,
in this process. Again, it almost sounds like a no-brainer. And you're
yeah,
you're right, absolutely. If you ever have been through an insurance claim or you are familiar with how they work, um, it's a very easy sell.
yeah,
Given that the Gulf states normally get um, a lot of these weather situations, throughout the years. There's plenty of people
yeah, yeah,
that can see the benefit of these, I'm sure. But as we think about growth, um, and expansion, right? Like duplicating what you do, adding the resources, adding personnel. It's always important to talk about the team. And so my question to you is, how do you go about, recruiting and keeping the talent, developing it to, expand what you're doing?
So at the moment, we've only contracted out, so like field people to go out in the field. That's the only, really, employees that we've needed. We just need that the data collection side, so where people are actually going out. So it's all been contracted out. So we haven't really needed to do any internal hiring yet. But we're getting to the point where we likely will within the next year or so. Um, so, and I mean, I've done hiring and leadership and training and stuff in my past career, so I have to pull up that stuff and out of my brain and start using it again.
And re-engage it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have certainly covered a lot of ground in this conversation today. And for those people who watch it, I highly encourage you to save these and come back a few times for an additional watch. There's a lot of great nuggets here. And as we begin to wrap up, Jonathan, I have a few rapid fire questions. Okay. So quick, top of head answers for each. So number one is, what is the key to success for you?
Key to success, progress. Any kind of progress is successful, no matter how big or small.
Very good. What is your one piece of advice for other business owners?
Don't give up. It gets hard, but eventually you push hard enough, it'll work.
What I tell people is that business is a contact sport. It's yes, it looks easy when you're already on the other end, but
Hmm.
getting there is tough,
Yeah,
and
I
it's a
always
lot of
think of
up
it
and downs.
like a seed. You plant the seed in the ground and it gets to the surface. It's like trying to push through, and it's like a lot of people give up right before it breaks through. But you just got to push through that hard part.
So, what is one book that you're reading now, or you have read that you think everybody in business should be getting their hands on?
Oh man, there's tons of them. I mean, Think and Grow Rich pops to the top of my mind. Um, Man's Search for Meaning is another one that pops.
Love that book. It's a difficult book to read, though.
Yeah, yeah.
You were talking about, don't give up, and he does talk about the story of 3 feet from gold in that book.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
It's
it's
an incredible book. Yeah, I think everyone should read it.
everyone should read it.
Yeah,
But again, it's not an easy book to read.
yeah,
It's cadence, perhaps the way that it's uh, laid out. It has a very strong message, but it's
hmm,
not easily readable for those who are not ready for it.
yeah, yeah.
So, if you had to choose one area of your business you could immediately improve tomorrow, what would that be?
One area. I mean, I think the sales and marketing side of things, I think could always be better.
Okay. And so, before we get into the final question of the day, how can other people find out more about you and the company? How can I get in touch with you? Um,
Yeah.
how do they get a discount if they call you?
Possibly, yeah, we can work out something. So yeah, if you've watched this, we will work out something for you, definitely. But you can go to forefront360.com. That's FORE front360.com, or reach out to me, Jonathan at forefront360.com. Send me an email. Happy to chat and see what we can do for you or answer any questions you might have.
Well, Jonathan, one question that I love to ask at the end of these interviews is, when you start something like this, right? Right at the outset, when you made the decision you're gonna go, just doing that, just making that decision inspires you to action. And I'm gonna say probably the first couple of years of doing it are all about that decision you made, right?
Hmm.
There's a future that you see. Um, but once you have established yourself, that there's some traction, some movement in the business, um, that sort of wanes away because you're already there. You become that, right?
Yep.
So we have to have other sources for inspiration. And so my question is, what is most inspiring for you today?
I mean, I think it's kind of always been like this, but what can I do for others? I think the more successful you become, the more opportunities you can have to help and provide for others, whether that's family, friends, strangers, whatever it is.
Well, it's something to definitely consider, right?
Yeah.
Um, to have as a guiding light. Zig Ziglar says, you're gonna get what you want in life as long as you help other people get what they want.
Yeah, yeah,
And so
yeah.
it's that giver's gain, right?
Yeah, I think
So
was it Abraham Lincoln that said if you want to help the poor, don't be poor, something like that.
that's that's a very good one. And so, Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all these with us.
Thank
Thank you
you.
to
I
the
really appreciate
audience
it.
for watching and sharing all these. And do please share it because you never know who you might get inspired by having them watch this interview. Make it a great day. Until next time. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you.